The terror of the loss of intelligence is significant. It is seen in the book Flowers for Algernon, where the book is terrifying, both with the satisfaction that the person gains from gaining intelligence and the loss of it, and painful awareness of the life he used to have, that he didn't realize how miserable it was, and the pain of the life that is coming to him, returning to the point of having lost all the cognitive capacity. I think this is why Alzheimer's is so terrifying to see, observe, and participate in, both as a person who is experiencing cognitive decline, but also as a caregiver, caretaker, and most importantly, a close one who witnesses your beloved wife or mother becoming progressively more and more a shell of herself. This is less terrifying when it is only a one person, and then you return to the reality of other people that actually have the cognitive capacity to provide you with support. They can understand what you're going through and then infer what you might be feeling, and therefore provide you with more or less helpful advice or just simple human compassion. For the compassion to happen, though, there must be some level of cognitive capability. Also, what is required is being rooted in the reality so that you're actually capable of inferring what a person might need. You must remember what they like and how they usually react to situations. And a fair knowledge of what human beings are like and how to navigate them is pretty useful. I have just watched a video of that machines have already won, and how AI can generate public dystopia in which people generally take all their knowledge they have from AI. And that's terrifying as it is if it is on the global scale. Now, I want to say something even more terrifying about the process of getting there. Because the AI attitude studies that I'm doing generally divides itself into two paradigms. One in which people are super hyped over AI and how positive they think it is. It's fun and games, it's better to study with. It writes you a summary of a hard article so you don't have to use your brain anymore, and you don't have to face the reality of your cognitive capacity dwindling because of constant social media use or not raising up to the academic level of the university you try to pursue. Nobody likes to feel stupid. Nobody likes to reveal to themselves that the image they had, the ideal self, is compared to the real one, and there's a big clash, especially in the intelligence regard, which is highly rewarded in our society. But there's a second camp, where there's the backlash against the loss of human nature, how AI is used for typically human tasks. What could potentially happen is a big divide in society, both between the generations, so the people that were not technological natives and already have a hard time catching up with whatever is going on and still exist partially offline. There could be a divide between them and the people that are natives in technology, who exist only in the virtual world. Of course, their bodies are here, but their mind is somewhere in the digital realm. I'm not evaluating it morally yet, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say that it could potentially lead to miscommunication or absolute lack of it. And what then? Oh well, the people that are not supersized will probably resort to social support in the version that they're familiar with and grow reluctant to contact the children. And it's hurtful to see that you no longer understand what your child does. You have no idea who they are, what they watch, what they like. You have some kind of imagination about this, but it's not really helpful with communication. And the altered version of humanity that has been existing in that social media, internet world, so much that the language is different, the culture is different, the way they communicate is different, the way they think is different. So we also will have a generation that externalize their thought processes, decision-making, idea generation, because it's normalized by the only society they have contact with, because the ones that could show them a different perspective either criticize them, and nobody likes being criticized, show their incompetence, and nobody likes being shown how incompetent they are and how they have declined, and don't understand them. And why even maintain a contact with someone you feel no connection to? What can happen, therefore, is two sides making a perpetual vicious circles of that draw them further apart so that there's no contact. And these ones, they will die out. That perspective is going to die. It will be altered as it is right now by whatever is going on in the rest of the generations, right? People learn all the time and they want to survive, so they alter their behavior or the circumstances so it resembles the previous process. It's called either assimilation or accommodation. Now, let's consider how trust is built. It's built from the very first years of our existence, and it's basically related to how much your caregiver responds to your pleas for support and attention. And if they do respond, then you can grow with the operational model of the world saying, if I state my discomfort, they will come, they will understand what I'm going through, they will explain things to me. My caregiver, as I am myself incapable yet of understanding the world, will understand it for me, they will provide me with support, and they are reliable at doing this. If the person that I want to resort to doesn't understand my needs, doesn't seem to be benevolent because they're criticizing me for doing the only thing that makes me feel good, AI, social media use, and they don't seem to provide me with anything, then there is no trust. How can I trust in a world that doesn't understand me? I will just create my own and I will stay in it. And I don't want to blame anyone for that. Rat is always right. They do what they've been taught to do and what they learn to do in order to survive. And the maladaptive strategy is basically the result of a lack of resources and lack of help from those that should have provided the resources. Now, getting to the point. If we have within the same let's just take it easy. Within the same generation, we have two camps of people. One camp is fighting against AI, not using it, struggling to use their brains in a world that does everything to prevent them from doing that. And the second camp that resorts solely to AI generated summaries and does not really maintain their roots in the material physical reality, instead getting their thinking processes, decision-making capacity, executive functioning and literacy more or less slowly decline. We have people that will be extremely lonely and incapable of maintaining a connection. And if we let's just assume what could happen to the mental health realm, because that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life probably, so that interests me, and I think it should interest you too, considering the mental health crisis. Let's say that the people that are academic or more intellectually oriented, so in psychology we would say they have higher need for cognition, decide to completely abstain from AI. They don't use it and therefore have higher thinking capacities. We will have a stark mismatch between those who might need their service and the service providers. And if the service providers are capable of adjusting to the level of thinking, which also constrains some strategies in therapy they may use, because humans used to rely on arbitrary things and language, and if that falls apart, then only what we have is like behavioral strategies that rely on planning, and that's fine too with 5-year-old children. So we have mental health providers who potentially, although majority of them will probably still be resorting to AI to do all the work for them, but let's say that we have mental health professionals that have a certain level of cognitive capacities, standards and procedures developed for people with presupposed capabilities that no longer match up to reality. Those strategies will become ineffective, and the communication between those that are, let's put it very gently, incapacitated and unfavored mentally and cognitively, they will have basically no chance of communicating, getting into contact, because they will be in opposition. Moreover, I think that anti-intellectualism could be a potential reaction to that. Nobody likes to feel stupid, so if they are smarter or they are thinking quicker, it's ominous. I don't understand what they're doing, so I just back down from that. I'm not going to engage in this. And those that are more aware about what happened to their brains will probably maintain that same strategy just to protect their ego that will get fragile. How can it not if you're constantly reliant on comparison to other people, especially in adolescence? So there's not only the risk of ultimately reducing cognitive capacities of humankind as the entire species, but the process of getting there is going to be very painful and deeply rooted in social injustice. Ability to get support from the parents that will care enough to stop this, the parents that are aware enough to stop this, peer pressure and how much of a reliant parent you are so that you don't feel completely lost and left alone with your emotional pain. And then if you don't understand what your therapist is saying to you, that you came to because you were feeling stupid and inferior, then you might resort to simple solutions such as ChatGPT or any other AI psychology tool that will basically pat you on the head and say, no, you're not, honey, you're not stupid. It's just, you need a summary that matches the cognitive level of a 6-year-old. But you're not stupid. No, you're brilliant. You're brilliant. You're the most brilliant human I come into contact with. And does it really sustain the better feeling Or is it avoidance of experience and actually the withdrawal from experience that could be potentially the pathway to greatness and development as a human being? That was way longer than I wanted it to be. That is way shorter than it should be. I'll probably produce more. Bye.